we were good for the first 2 years. Everything was like, oh my God, it was awesome. Honeymoon, yummy. And then I think the third year, we were like, okay, we need to figure out a few. And then I immediately said, babe, we need to go to therapy. He was like, I'm like, Jenny, do you think it's that bad? I said, babe, you and I literally are like twins. Like if we're doing this, little things like that. And I think the little things will break you up faster than the big things. I'm going to be honest. Because the little, like for example, if you have a big situation, you're going to automatically go to therapy. Oh my God.
Get help. Look for that person that is right for you. Hey, Queen. How are you? How are you? How are you? It's your girl, Nikki O, with another episode for you today. And I'm excited about our guest today. For those of you that this is your first time, like I said, I'm Nikki O. And this is, it's such a pleasure that you're here. Thank you for joining us. And for those of you that are back again, welcome. You know how we do. I'm so glad that you're here. All right, so without further ado, but before we do all of that, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share and comment, right? We want other queens to know about all these amazing women that are doing things, okay? So my guest today, oh my gosh, you all are gonna love her. Woo! So Jane Harris is the wig maker, co-owner and mastermind behind Glueless Wig brand, The Virgin Hair Fantasy. Y'all, that name alone is like, I want whatever that is, I want me some. With more than 10 years in the beauty business, Jane's brand, The Virgin Hair Fantasy, is the top choice of wigs among celebrities, entrepreneurs, and women that want to up their style game. Jane is wife to her best friend, consulting chef Ed Harris, and mother of their 3 children. Jane grew up in Nigeria with hardworking, entrepreneurial parents. She watched them sell all types of goods to support the family. At the tender age of 19, her parents sent her to London to attend college. After just 2 years studying business management and marketing, she chose to pack up, move to the States, and finish her degree in Atlanta, Georgia. While in Atlanta, Jane got her startup retail moving quickly from sales associate to management. She spent 15 years in the fast-paced retail business, learning valuable skills she still applies today. It was during her retail days that Jane began making wigs as a way to combat her challenges with hair growth. I can understand that. Not want to shy away from bold hair colors or trend-setting haircuts, Jane would switch up her look by changing wigs weekly. At first, she began consulting with friends and family to find looks to suit their face shape and overall style. But it wasn't until the demands of her day job imposed on scheduling her child's birthday party. Can you look? Yeah, they'll do that. It encroached on her, her being able to plan her child's birthday party, that she decided to put her family first and pursue her love of wig making and entrepreneurship full time. In 2011, with only $200 to invest and a passion for style, quality, and customer service, the Virgin Hair Fantasy was born. Ladies, without further ado, please help me welcome Jane.
Thank you, Miss Nikki. I really appreciate it. That was
awesome. Jane. Oh my gosh, there is so much I want to know, just even from reading that alone. Okay, so they tried you, huh? They were like, you can't plan your child's birthday party. You're like, oh no, forget that. Not a year, like no. Talk about that. Well, what did that even happen? What really led up to that, where you said, squash that out?
Thank you. I had been with the company. Hi everyone. Hi. Let's get into it. So I had been with the company for maybe it was my 12th or 13th year. Yes. And, we built a rapport. They promoted me from Atlanta and flew me all the way to New York. So at this point, we were family, I thought. And so when I was working for them, I was, single. Then I got married. And when I had a child and I needed that moment, normally if it was about me, I wouldn't care because I didn't take many vacations. I just love to work. I enjoyed my job. It was commission. So I'm like, I'm chilling. I want to make money. But when I couldn't be there for my daughter's birthday, my family were from out of town visiting. And because someone called out, my boss was like, well, Jane, you know how that goes. I was like, oh no, this is not going to work. Like, I have a child. Like, this is not about me anymore. So I felt so bad, and not just at them, but at the situation, you know, because technically we had a $4 million store on Madison Avenue. Who's going to watch the store? You know what I mean? And they, you know, it's a store with like over maybe $100,000 worth of inventory. And so they were like, we can't, you know, you have to watch the store. So I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. So that's when my wheels started turning to pretty much start working on an exit plan so I can be there for my child, you know? So yes.
I love, you said so much right there. Just recognizing that, okay, you know what? At some point, you come first. Family comes first, because we love to work ourselves to the bone for everybody else. And then we put everybody else that is important to us on the back burner, and relationships suffer because of it. Yeah. So kudos to you on that. That is amazing.
Thank you.
So the wigs though, because you were in retail beauty. Why wigs though? And I know you said about hair, you know, you to combat just loss of hair was what you said.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what was that about?
So I realized that I had a gift, and from at the time I didn't think it was a big deal, but now I look at it, it was an unusual gift. Like I find pleasure in helping people. Like it's to the point where it's kind of like weird. I get so happy and excited when I serve, and not the serving of, oh, I'm going to help you. No, serving like in the position of, I am on my knees, putting the shoe on your foot. I am giving you a massage. I am, you know, just serving, like really serving. I enjoy it. I love it. You know, it makes me happy. So I realized that I could do it in retail when I was looking for a job, and this Victoria's Secret gave me a job, and I did really well there. And I was like, oh, what else can I do so I can make more money? I don't want to make $9 an hour anymore. I want to move up. They're like, oh, we'll promote you. When I was about to leave, they're like, we'll give you $12 an hour. I was like, oh my God, $12 an hour. And I'm like, well, if you give me $12 an hour, maybe I can get 14 or 12, you know? So I literally was on my way to lunch, and I was like, oh, there's a shoe store. Let me just go in and apply for a job. And I'm like, what do you think I can make it? They're like, well, it's commission. I was like, what does that mean? Like commission? Like, what? So you mean if I don't sell, I don't eat? They were like, yeah, that's pretty much it. That right there was the best decision I ever made, because I feel like that planted the seed of entrepreneurship in me. Because yes, I had I think $4 base, which nobody wants to make their base $4 an hour. But because I knew I had to show up to make money, that when I tell you vacations were like, do I want to do vacation this year? Or I want to skip till next. Like you just want it to work because it's commission. So when at the time, the guy who was interviewing me, my former boss, who became my boss he was my boss for 13 years. He was like, well, based on your history, you could probably make $15 to $18 an hour. I was like, oh, let's do it. So I started working there part-time. And when I realized that what I did part-time at the commission-based job for 20 hours a week, because I was doing both, because I didn't know which one was going to, you know, I wanted to eat. So I was like, I was making, I think it was 15, actually, not even 20. It was 15 hours. I was making more than I was making at my 40-hour job.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. So I immediately got promoted they offered me a full-time position, and I took it. So, yeah.
I love it. But then how the transition though to wigs though? Because Victoria's Secret is so completely different. So,
I know. You know. So wigs came about being in those environments. And then I finally found a place where I was making decent money. I worked for that company for 13 years. I was with them, and then they promoted me to a store in New York. It was it was their flagship store. They projected it to do 4 million its first year. It didn't do that. It did 2 million. And I was a 22-year-old African American Nigerian who had a strong accent. I had never done management ever, but for some reason, my amazing owner of the company was like, I know you can do this. He knew. He just knew. He wouldn't even take no for an answer. I'm like, all right. So he promoted me there. So I was on Madison Avenue and 53rd Street. And for anyone who knows New York, that is where like so much money and just classy, bougie, money women. Like they just came in with like Hermes and Gucci and Chanel. It was no big deal. Like you don't even talk about what you have. Everybody had it. Like it was no, like, what are you talking about? You have Hermes? Well, I have Hermes. Mine is a crop. Yours, yeah. So it's just a whole nother category of women. And I was so fascinated and just like, wow, like you have so much money. And they were so down to earth and fun and great to help. So I was in that environment all the time. I was a manager. I was there 60 hours a week. So I would talk to these women, go, meet them at their houses when they couldn't come to the store. So I saw all that money. And then I started like, oh, I want to dress better because I started making more money. And I'm like, oh, I want to dress better. So I started dressing a little better, of course, on a budget. But then I started realizing that it wasn't enough. Like I would, buy my cute little on sale $60 Zara suit, but it still wasn't enough. I was like, I wanted more. And I started looking at myself different. I'm like, oh, my hair, I don't like my hair. I don't like, my edges were like balding. I just did not like, I felt like my hair was not completing my look. So there was this wig company around the corner from my job. Their wigs were, I couldn't afford them. And I was like, oh, I need to figure out a way to get this wig. So I went on YouTube and I started Googling and I was like, oh, I can make one a wig. Big mistake. Terrible. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was the worst wig ever. But it was as bad as it was, it still gave me hope because I'm like, oh, I made something. Let me just try again. So fast forward, I kept making, and I finally made one that was decent. And my sister snatched it off of me. I was like, oh, then I have something good because she doesn't even need hair. She has a lot of hair and she still wanted that wig. So that's when that bug of wigs was planted. So when I made the second wig and the third wig that was good, I started feeling so much better about myself. I didn't even care about my clothes. I would put on a wig and it would just be a whole nother personality. I started smelling my own sweat, if you know what I mean. Like I was like, you can't tell me nothing. Like what?
I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you.
Good. Like it was such a huge confidence boost for me. Yeah. And that insecure child started to heal. Oh. That girl who did not feel beautiful, who literally was like, why am I not pretty, crying and just going through a tough teenage. I was like, oh, I feel beautiful. I love myself. Like, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I didn't realize that hair could do that. And it did that for me. So that's when the obsession of hair started. And I was like, oh, I want to keep making wigs. So I started doing it part-time. And then it was until one day, one of my really good clients offered me $1,000 for one of the ones that I had on because she was going through chemo. And she was like, I'll buy your wig. And I'm like, but it's used. She was like, that's the color I want. I don't care. Like, it looks good. And she purchased it, wrote me a check for $1,000. And that was more money than I had made that day as a shoe store Madison Avenue manager. I was like, we're in the wrong business,
Yes,
so
girl.
That's how it got started.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's a great story. And I love how I read in your bio that, you started. It wasn't even in your bio. I guess following you online, you wrote recently how you're growing, how your company is growing. And it started from, I think, $500 that your husband loaned you or something like that.
Yes.
So he believed in you from Jumpstart, huh?
He kind of did. I have to be honest. He kind of did. And every now and then I have to remind him that that's not how it went, honey. He's like, yeah, I knew you. I was like, yeah. And because the truth was, and to his defense, I didn't go to hair school. Mm-hmm. Like, he just literally came home one day. He's like, I want to do hair. He's like, what are you? Come on, Jay, make sure. Like, research. You just can't wake up and say you want to do hair. I don't know if it was a whisper or if it was a sense, but it was something. I truly believed that I could do it. And I think I was convinced by the result. The result propelled me and gave me this like urge. I'm like, if this hair can make me feel this way, I'll figure out a way to know how to do it. Forget the how. I'm like, I just want to be the facilitator of who makes people feel like this. So that is what I was focused on. I wasn't even focused on, first of all, I didn't even know how to do hair properly. I didn't go to hair school. Like, I wasn't one of those girls who were like, oh, she didn't go to hair school, but she's good. No, I didn't go to hair school and I wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like, it was not good at all. So for me to want to do it was more like, I just want to make people feel the way I feel. Like, I almost didn't feel beautiful because now I feel beautiful. What other life can be changed from this feeling? Like, I was obsessed with the feeling. It was an obsession. I'm like, I have to do it. So when I approached my husband, he's like, Jane, are you sure? Like, you just woke up. I said, babe. So I finally convinced him. He was like, okay, you say you're going to do it. And so far, everything I had put my mind to, I did. So I think that was like, okay, based on your track record, I think you're going to figure it out, right? Because I had a decent track record of just wanting to do better for myself, just beating all the odds, just not shying away from the work, doing the work and just excelling. I had excelled in everything that I did. Even when I was a clown, my first job, I wore that clown outfit beautifully with a big smile. Everything I did, if I was gonna work, I was gonna work to the best of my ability. So I think based on that track record, he knew I had great work ethic. So he's like, okay, whatever it is, I know you're gonna figure it out. I don't know how, but So that's when he loaned me $500 because it wasn't payday yet for me. And I was making six figures. I was making over $110,000 in New York and was broke every 2 weeks. Broke like a joke. Accounts in the minus, checks bouncing. Like, what is going on? Like, money just like disappearing out of my account because I was in New York. 1, 2, I wasn't managing my money properly. And 3, I just was trying to fulfill myself in other ways that, of course, led to money mismanagement. So that's why I tell people, I'm like, I was successful, but I was still broke. So I was broke in between. So when it was time for me to chase my dream, I was like, babe, can you borrow me $500? Because I don't.
He's looking at you like, you going to pay this back. You going to pay this back.
Because he was my boyfriend at the time. So I was like, please, I just need $500 to buy some hair and sample it, please.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's funny. You said quite a bit. One of the things that you said was you didn't feel beautiful, right? You didn't, you just, do you know when that started, where that stemmed from? And, aside from the hair making you now feel, because you talked about being healed, talk a little bit about where that deep-rooted, not feeling like you were beautiful, where did that come from?
I think it came from my childhood of, I don't know if it was one event, but I think it's multiple reasons why I was teased a lot because I had really very defined arms. I was always very, people would say, oh, you have very manly arms, which I love now, but then I didn't love them. And I didn't feel like I was the most intelligent in the room. And I went to a school that was very, very big on scholars. Like, and I could barely even say words. I was like, what is going on? But my parents put me in that school in hopes that I would get better. I just didn't know what my gifts were. They definitely weren't math and spelling stuff, but I had other gifts that I hadn't discovered yet. So not feeling beautiful, not feeling smart enough, and being around people that I felt like were gifted. I was like, oh my God, how come I don't have hair? How come I don't have long lashes? How come my skin is breaking out every 5 minutes? How come I have manly arms? It was just so many things happening at the same time. I just felt like, oh my God. And I think I'm so glad that I went through that now because I have 2 daughters, when I look at them, I'm like, I know what I need to tell you. I know what you need to hear, because let me tell you, the world will have you thinking something else. Yes. And when you are in that 12-year-old vulnerable state of not feeling beautiful and not feeling like you can even express it because you don't want to sound crazy, right? that is probably the most vulnerable state any child can be in, because that's where they get taken advantage of, they get used, they fall into these deep whatever, and all the things that you don't want for your child happens. But I remember that 12-year-old Jane so well, and I'm glad, because it allows me to raise my girls very, 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 very intentionally. Like, I'm an intentional parent because I know what I went through. I'm very aware, so
Yeah. No, Queens, did you hear that? We have to be very intentional about the things that we say to our daughters, even our sons, not only our daughters. Words mean a lot, but their confirmation starts with us confirming them. And then, as they go on in the world, they get to really, it goes along with them. Right. My daughter walked in today on her way to college. And as soon as she walked out, I was like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful you are. I make sure I tell her before she leaves the house, so that anyone else is then secondary. But at least she knows at home that, oh my gosh, you're absolutely beautiful. She beamed from ear to ear. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
So if no one else tells her she's beautiful, at least she got it from me. Right. And she got it from her dad. And so that's important. I'm Nigerian, right?
Oh, no, I didn't know. Nice.
Oh, girl, yes. So
that's awesome.
They don't tell us we're pretty.
No, they don't care about that.
They don't. They don't tell you none of that. So sadly, a lot of us got our affirmations from the outside. And it wasn't even good affirmations. The outside wasn't necessarily the people that we should be getting affirmations from.
Exactly.
And it really didn't do a lot of us a lot of good, because we were yearning, hungry for someone to just say, oh my gosh, my girl, my baby, my darling. But our parents, they did the best they could with what they had. But
they did the best they could.
But it just was not in their DNA. They just never did that. And so one of the things I'm glad you said, and I'm, Queens, if you're out there, just make sure you're affirming those children, those beautiful gifts that you have, because if not, they will look for love in all of the wrong places.
Exactly.
And we don't want that. So thanks for sharing that. So your husband, I've heard you say many a time, I love it. The wig maker and the chef, Okay, so let me tell you something, because you may not remember this. I don't know if you remember, there was a day your husband had a live, and he was like sitting on a couch, and he was, you walked in and said, oh my gosh, you have more people on your live than I do.
That sounds like something I would say.
Yes, you said it. And he was talking about pasta, I believe, and he has this type of meat that it's not meat, because you all are vegan, but he makes this pseudo kind of meat with something that he has, and roasted and all of that, and he puts it in the pasta. And I wrote in the chat and said, well, I didn't have that, but I did the same thing with what's it called, mushrooms, and it tasted just as amazing. You remember that?
I think so.
That was me. Yeah, that was me. That was me.
So yes.
So I've been following Chef. I love his cooking and all that. But you've said you both are so cute together, and you talk about my best friend. Was that always the first and foremost? How did y'all meet? Because Nigerian and how? Tell me how that happened.
Well, it's so funny. We met in New York.
Okay.
At a bar.
I love it. There you go.
I know, it's just so cliche. I'm like, I wish I had a more romantic story. We met at a bar at the 4040 Club. Thank you. Shout out to Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Thank you. We met at the 4040 Club in New York, where I was working at that shoe store 60 hours a week. I was so stressed out. I was literally like a 23-year-old acting like a 60-year-old woman, because I had all these responsibilities and stress. And I think that's why my hair was falling out, because it was just so much stress and pressure to use the flagship store. This is the first time we've ever had a young manager. It was just so much. I would hear this like every day in my ears. Yeah. So the store ended up doing 3.2 million my third year with them. So it did really well. Yes, it did really well. But not my money, their money, but
of course, but you know, still under your belt.
So I would, my girlfriend was like, let's go to 40/40 Club. I was like, oh, I don't want to go to this. Wait, so I have to be at work in the morning. And da-da-da. So I went because I was single. And my girlfriend was like, you're going to be by yourself forever if you don't get out and go. So I met Chef there, and he introduced himself. He was like, I was like, what do you do? Because I was always about what do you do? Because I didn't want to be with anyone who did not do anything. I'm like, look, I work too hard. We can't be like,
Yeah.
So I was like, what do you do? He goes, I'm a chef. And I literally laughed out loud. I was like, you're right. Like, how are you a chef? Because he looked so young. He looked really young. He's like, no, seriously, I'm a chef. I said, okay, did you go to culinary school or you just woke up one day and just call yourself a chef? He was like, he was like, yes, I went to culinary school. And he said I had an attitude, but I don't think I did. I just think I was irritated with, maybe I had an attitude. And
I think you had an attitude. Look, let's call it.
I was just like, dating was not paying me to date. Like, I was like, we're doing all of this work. There's no payment. Like, what are we doing? But anyways, we finally went on our first date, and I quickly realized that I was like, oh my God, this guy is amazing, just because he was so intelligent. Like, the things he was talking about, and I'm just so on it. And he was so driven. I was like, thank God, somebody who cares about their work and their craft. So that's what attracted me to him. And I thought I had good work ethics. Oh, Chef was like, I'll take your work ethics, throw it in the garbage. Mine is better. Like, he is, I can't even, words cannot explain. That guy does not play about work or anything he says he's going to do. It gets done. Like, he's just a great, I was like, because I'm a leader. I have always led, even when I think when I started realizing my skills I think I was like 18 when I got a manager. Like, I lead, and when I had that job on Madison Avenue, my coworkers were like in their 60s. Some of them were 70. Most of them were in their 50s. So I was leading them. They were mad the whole time, but they couldn't touch me. Because I'm like, well, if you that good, take my job then. You can't. So let's get this done. So I was a leader. So I was like, if I'm going to listen and respect a man, he needs to come correct. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about if you have to be at work at 8, you need to be at work at 7:45, 7:30. If you know what I mean, like, I need you to be responsible. I need you to be, assertive. I need you to be resourceful. Like, those are the qualities, not money, because money can come and go, but those qualities will be able to pick you up if you have any situation or whatever. So those were the qualities I was looking for. And he had all of them and more. So that's when I was like, oh, I think he's the one.
Well, you know what I love? You knew what you wanted. You see, because that's the first thing that I recognize that sometimes we fail at. Really being able to enumerate what it is that we want. Be specific in what it is that we want. And then we get what we get and then complain. Where you weren't specific about what it is that you wanted, right? And so here we are. So now let's figure out how to fix it. Not fix him, but fix the situation enough that you can possibly fit into it somehow or the other, because you can't fix him now. He's a whole grown-up man. That's forget that, right? Yes. So I love that you said that. So Queens, we do. It's very important that we know what it is that we want. Write it down. The Bible itself says, write it down, make it plain.
Yes, I agree.
Know what you want. So you knew that. So you were able to immediately tick off the boxes like, okay. So that was good. Awesome. I love that. So you started dating, he proposed, you all got married. That was just pretty much the lineup of it. Yes. And and you just have budded ever since? Or was there ever a time that there were some things you had to work through? Every marriage has something. There is not a perfect one for sure. Because you're from two different nations. How did that work out? Because two different cultures completely.
We were good for the first 2 years. Everything was like, oh my God, it was awesome. Honeymoon, yummy. And then I think the third year we were like, okay, we need to figure out a few details. We need to do this. And then the fourth year was when we ran into some issues where We weren't seeing eye to eye. We were arguing and we started off being like literally like twins. We will always be together. So when things started looking a little rough, when we got on the struggle bus, we immediately knew something was wrong. We're like, this is not us. And then we started backtracking, like, what happened to us? What's going on? I'm like, wait, and then I literally saw, I'm like, oh my God, that's how marriages end. Like, this is what happens. Like, they start like it, this, and then him and I fought so hard to get on the same page. When I say nothing actually happened, so are we going to decide on that? Or do you want the gray couch or red couch? Little things like that. And I think the little things will break you up faster than the big things. I'm going to be honest. Because the little, like, for example, you know, if you have a big situation, you're going to automatically go to therapy. Oh my gosh, let's go see the doctor or let's go see a church leader. But the little things where you're like not seeing eye to eye, or maybe what vacation place to go or what cousin to help, those are the things that will eventually like tear you apart, because they're things that you don't feel like you need to seek help for. Right. So we started like not being on the same page a lot. And then I immediately said, babe, we need to go to therapy. He was like, I'm like, Janie, do you think it's that bad? I said, babe, you and I literally are like twins. Like if we're doing this, this is going to lead to more things. So we didn't let the problem keep going. We immediately like say no. Like after like a year of like back and forth, I was like, no, this is not normal, babe. This, we know 2 years now, we know this is not us. So let's fix it. And we didn't settle for, oh, you know, this is the marriage that happens. Like, you're excited and then things dull off. I'm like, no, I don't want that kind of marriage. I want it to always get better. So I'm like, no. Let's seek help. We went to a therapist, and this is something that I say out loud. Please, people, just because they're a therapist does not mean they're the therapist for you. Because when I went to see a therapist, do you know this therapist almost broke us up even faster? Because she started taking sides with my husband, to the point where my husband even noticed and said, Jane, I don't like the way she's taking my side. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind, but I know it's not good for our marriage. So him and I, even in our little problems, we still recognized, thank God we were like, I feel like we're spiritually in sync. That's why he was able to call it out, even if it wasn't it wasn't going to benefit him. He was like, babe, let's find another person. I don't think she's neutral. She keeps trying to say things that you did and doesn't point out what I did. I was like, thank you, Jesus. So we immediately switched, and we're like, I was so terrified. I was like, you know what, babe, let's turn to the church. So we went to church on a couples night. And when I tell you it was in couples night, it was couples night. And the guy said one word. He was like, why are you trying to make the other person see your point of view? Why is it so important for you for that person to see? Why can't you just let the person have their opinion, you have your opinion, and just learn to trust one another? And they put it in such a way that the preacher was two preachers, husband and wife, and they were like, look at your husband, look at your wife, trust that they have your back. Don't even worry about if they're gonna if you love them, if they're gonna love you back. Just worry about loving them. Don't worry if they're gonna serve you back. Just worry about serving them. That will take like it. And then in my head, I'm like, oh my God. So what if you're doing all of this and they don't do it back? And the preacher was like, don't even give your mind room for that. Just serve, just give. Literally having faith in your marriage, like to the point where you're like trusting. And I never really thought, I always thought I trusted him, but I wasn't fully involved. Like I wasn't like fully like, oh, let's just see what happens. And it was in that moment when we started intentionally just, I know you got my back, so I'm just going to have your back. That's when our marriage changed. I thought when we met, it was like amazing. Every day, I feel like I call him my boyfriend. I call him my forever boyfriend. Our marriage got stronger. It got better, and it's been better. And we've been married now for 15 years. And I just hope a couple who is in a situation hears this. If therapy worked for you, great. But don't stop. Don't give up. Go to therapy. Go to church. But don't go to your family. That's the biggest mistake. Do not go to your family. They love you too much. Don't go to your family. That was the mistake we had originally made. Their love for you is so strong that they're going to be biased. It's not for them to. Don't go to your family. Go seek help from a neutral party. And if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or when you sense that they're not working out for you, switch to another therapist or switch to church. Go to a leader that you trust. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It just takes me back. Like, that was a tough time. And now when I look at my best friend, my husband, I'm like, it was almost over. Like, it would have been done. And I'm like, wow, just by not seeking the right help. So yeah. We can't hear you, babe. I think your mic is sorry.
Oh my gosh, I hope that everything you just said came through. Can you hear me now?
Yes, but I didn't turn off my mic. No, my mic is on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. All right, cool. Because I would, okay. But anyway, you said a lot. Couples therapy, one of the things that I found with that, because, you know, we went through some things too. And likewise, it was always just straddling the fence, not really, you know, just it was never, I never left feeling like there was any resolve. It was almost like tiptoeing. That was one thing, which is one of the reasons why I started doing what I was doing. And then secondly, sometimes the men are just not ready to go. It's not because they're bad. I mean, I say this all the time, you know, you're not married to a Nigerian man, but your husband is not too far from.
He is very close, my sister.
I'm trying to tell you, but a Nigerian man will tell you straight up, if you go fix yourself, we won't have any problems.
Yes. Yes.
So, so one of the things that, you know, I looked for help. I started to do work that I needed to do. And that was the thing that I came up that was like so clear. Stop trying to make him see your point of view. What you know, just recognize that whatever he's doing, you all are on the same team. Yes. He is not out to get you. So whatever it is he's doing, if you don't understand, ask. So I see you did this. I'm not sure why. I know it's definitely for a good, but can you just explain? Yes. Rather than wanting him to and that was one of the biggest things that I learned. Just control me, control my thoughts, control the way I see things, control how I try to control things, because we do that. We're not recognizing that we're doing it. And then when they don't fight back, you talked about something which is so funny because it reminds me of the little things. So our blinds, right? The blinds are up there. At nighttime, we close the blinds before we turn on the lights, right? Because we don't want everybody outside seeing inside. Oh my gosh, yes. My husband he just was someone that was not a big deal to him. So he would have the blinds open and he'll have all the lights on. And it used to infuriate me. I would walk in and all the blinds are open and the lights on and he's fine. And it would be World War III. I kid you not, because I felt, are you kidding me? It was one day when it clicked in my brain and went, wait a minute, it's a problem for you. Evidently, it's not a problem for him. Mm-hmm. You fix it. When I made that decision and said, okay, you know what? It truly is my issue. I'm the one that feels something. And I changed my mindset and I no longer guess who's closing the blinds now? My husband. See? So it's the little things that will get us to that place before we know what's going on. We are so far apart, and we Exactly. So thank you for saying that. And Queens, you heard, get help. If you feel the slightest that something is not right, and it's just not, get help. Look for that person that is right for you. I coach women, but I'm not for everyone. Go where you need to go. My thing is, don't settle and don't sit in it. Get some help. Seek the Father first, and then let him lead you where you need to go to get the help that you need. Because the devil, he don't care. He will use whatever he can, the smallest, the big, whatever that is. We have to be discerning enough to go, okay, wait. And let's throw the ego out the door. Well, he should. There is no shoulda, coulda, woulda. if you have been given the mandate, the mantle has fallen on you to then to whom much is given, much is required. Go get the help that's needed. And I promise you, the influence that you have on him hopefully will begin to turn things around, at least for your own peace of mind. So that was great that you shared that. I love it. I love it. What was one of your biggest myths about marriage?
Whew. I mean, I think based on what I saw growing up, I just did not see that happy marriage was like it was a farce. Like it doesn't exist. I just felt like it was just TV. Like, how can you truly be with someone, like one person, for years and years, and you're just not tired of them? Like, how can you just, like, when I hear people go, oh my gosh, we've been together for 20 years and we just love one another. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah, right.
Because I didn't see it, and there was no example, nothing. And now that I'm in that kind of marriage, I don't feel the need to prove it, because I know how I was. I just leave it. I just literally live it. Right. I just, like I told my husband, I think it was like 7 years ago, because I'm in the public, I'm in the public eye with my brand. And I told my husband, I said, I'm going to love you loud. He was like, what do you mean by that? I said, no, I'm going to love you out loud. He's like, what does that mean? I said, well, I'm going to show you. So I don't hold back the love I have for my husband because, I'm unalive. No, you're going to see me love on him the way I normally love on him. And then we've been in situations where people will come up, and family members who haven't seen us in years, they'll be around us and like, oh my gosh, I really thought that was for Instagram. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no, seriously, I just thought you guys, I'm like, you guys have been married so long. Like, I really thought all of that lovey-dovey stuff was. I said, first of all, I only show you 20% of how I really want to show love to this man. You don't want to see the other 80%. Like, I tone it down because I know I'm online. So they're like, really? I said, yeah, I am literally obsessed with my husband. So, but people don't think, I guess I don't know what people think, but the comments that we get is, wow, 15 years. I'm like, literally, like, I feel like I just met him in that first year that we were together, like discovering each other and, learning about all the great stuff about each other. And it feels really good. But I'm glad that you asked about the rough time, because people, when we tell them we had a rough time, they're like, yeah, I'd say no, for real. There was a couple of rough years. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Right. And I'm glad you were vulnerable about that, because people need to know that, no matter, and what's funny is I'm still a work in progress.
Me too.
I tell the queens all the time, I'm like, I don't got it together. We've been married 25 years, but I don't got it together. It's an intention every single day.
Yes.
Intention every single day to be married to this man and to love him every single day. It's an intention. You wake up one day and you don't have that intention, just watch everything go down the drain that day.
Oh my God.
Right. Still things you're kind of like, what? Okay, center. Okay, Lord. Help me, Father. Woo! So it's work. It's work in progress, but I still say that marriage is still it's still the best institution that God could have ever created.
I agree.
When the Bible says one can make 5,000, take 5,000 to flight, but 10,000, I promise you do not want to be out there in the cold by yourself if you don't have to be.
Exactly.
Right. And so I'm always wives, if you can work it out, if you can just find that thing that back then that brought you together, if we can just go back there and find it and then work through it and back to where we need to be, it's worth it. Let's not buy into the Instagram microwave.
Oh my God.
I don't need him, so therefore I'm going to go off and get the next one. Let's not buy into that, because there is nothing better. I promise you. Too many women say, yeah, if I had if I had thought it through, I may not have taken the steps that I did. Some do the work and they're able to be okay with the decision because that their situation was a little very toxic. You know, I get that. There are some that they weren't even meant to be in the first place, let alone stay together. So that I understand. But for the vast majority, our men, and I speak this from the heart, our men are trying. I know we'll get in a room sometimes and want to dog our men out, which I'm not even for that.
Me neither.
But yeah, I really am not. But we make jokes, you know, with men and women, we're different. You know, I'll put jokes out there all day long about, oh my gosh, you know. But the key though still is the men, they're trying the best that they know how to do. They really are. A lot of them just, like you just said, they didn't have good role models. They didn't have anything to really hone in on to say, this is how I want to do marriage. Sadly, men don't have the type of circles and that women have, where we can come together and just cry and love on each other and encourage and celebrate. Men don't have that. So, you know, we're hoping that changes with our generation of men, that they would start to pull up the sons and really show them what it looks like to be a husband, to be a man, to really, you know. But for right now, let's give them some slack. They are really doing the best they know how to do. Social media is not making it any easier.
No.
Because they're seeing things that they're like, oh my gosh, my wife don't, that wife ain't doing that either.
Exactly.
You know, so
oh
don't
go. You know? It's fake. It's all fake.
So I always say, do not compare your marriage. Do not look to what the Joneses are doing. You are two individuals, separate and unique individuals that came from separate families, coming together. You now have to make your marriage yours. Whatever works for you, makes that work for you.
Exactly.
Love it, water it, nourish it, and make it yours. But don't be quick to throw in the towel and say, you know what, I can't. I'm done. I'm out. You know, let's not do that. That, you know, that is the goal. That is the hope that someone, Queen, if you're listening, please hear me. Hear my heart. You know, let's work it out. Whatever it is that we can do, whatever, small or big, at least try, right? So that is definitely my goal with all of this. I love what you said. That is so fantastic. Your wigs, you call them perucas.
Yes.
What's the story about that?
So when I got into the wig business, I don't know if you remember, but 15 years ago, nobody wanted to be called, like, nobody wanted you to know they're wearing a wig. Like, a wig was like taboo, you know? So when I decided to start my business, I said, babe, I don't want to call it wigs. See, this is another thing that I don't want to do. I don't want to take credit for that. I believe that God downloaded that in me. Because I don't even, now that I'm repeating it, I don't even know how I thought of it. So I know for a fact, when I have moments like that, I know it's definitely God that put that seed in me. Because how? I don't even make wigs, right? So I was like, I don't want to call it wigs because I don't want people to feel like it would look wiggy. Because that's where the term wiggy. Who wants a wiggy wig? Nobody, right? So I was like, I want to call it something that's seductive, something that's enticing, something brand new. And my husband was like, what do you call it now? Like, according to he speaks pidgin English. Like, what are you gonna call it? Like, it's a wig, right? I was like, let's think. I said, what do other people in other countries, what do they call wigs, right? And we started writing them down, and we had some Brazil, some Portuguese. We had, I think it was we had Middle Easterns, they call it baruca, and Portuguese, they call it peruca, and Spanish people call it peluca with an L. I was like, ooh, peruca rose out of my tongue. I was like, let's call it peruca. And I remember the first year we launched, People were like, ma'am, nobody cares. Just call it a wig. Like, what are you doing? Nobody, that's not what we call. And I am proud to say that did not deter me. It was more like, that's what I'm going to call my wigs. I don't know why, but I was certain. I was like, I want to call it something different, you know? So that's where the name came from. I didn't come up with peruca, but I coined it in terms of wigs. And I think one time, one of the Married to Medicine stars, she said it on national TV because she had worn one of my perucas. And she's like, and then she said, and people didn't even know what she was talking about, but I knew. So that's where it came from. So we just used the Portuguese language. We just borrowed it.
I love it because it sounds very exotic. You know, it sounds like I want one of those, whatever. I want a peruca, right? So I love it. You know, I'm sure I've seen. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. You know, definitely is one of the things on my mind. So just hold that thought. But before, this has been so rich. You know, if you haven't, please, you know, share, like, subscribe, comment, do something, right? Let other women hear about the amazingness of you know, of what we do here, you know, and what Jane is doing. You recently lost your mom. I am so sorry.
Thank you.
So, you know, I lost my mom too about this year. I think will be 10 or 11 years.
Oh
so I know
God,
how that.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you. Moms, I don't know about you, and don't let anyone rush you into get over it, because there is no getting over it. It just, you'll have your waves.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I stand in front of the mirror every night and I see my mother every night. I see my mom. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I looking so much like my mom? I didn't realize it until she was gone. Like, oh my goodness. I just, you know, so every night she's with me. I just see her.
Loss.
Yes, thank you. And yours too. How are you coping? How is, you know, everything in Nigeria looked amazing. It was beautiful. I know you didn't think I've been following you, girl. I've been stalking you for a long time. You just don't.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words.
How are you holding up? How's it?
Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. It happened, and it's been maybe 4 months now, so it's still really, really fresh. But what I'm really happy about is I feel the pain, I absorb the pain, I acknowledge the pain, but then I channel the pain. Amen. And I didn't know that I was going to be able to do that, but I prayed. So I said, God, you know your child, right? You know me. I don't know how to handle, like, this is not in my wheelhouse. I don't know how to handle this kind of pain. So I when I tell you, just like you do with marriage and you do with anything in life, you just take it to God. Because, I literally took it to God. I said, God, you know how I don't know how I can make it. Because I'm a homeschool mom of 3 children. I'm a wife. I run Virgin, Chef Life Consulting, and the Chef and the Wig Maker. So I have 3 businesses and 2 of them are startups. So we're trying to get them off the ground. So it's a lot of, foundation work that we're doing. So I'm like, and then my mom passes in the middle of a crazy season. I'm like, how? Like, and then the pain comes, like you said, in waves, but I am able to channel it to this year. In the last 4 months, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, has been my most productive year. Has been my most productive year, because I literally was like, I need to put this pain somewhere and I need to use it for something. So I was able to just take that and put it into teaching other women more, because I've been teaching here and there, but when my mom passed, I was like, this is about to be more serious. So me being able to pour into other women in what I do when I teach them, because I teach other women how to start their own wig business.
I was gonna say that I saw your you just did one a week or so ago.
Yes,
I saw that. I was gonna ask about that, how that went, and
been a blessing.
I was so proud of you. Like, oh my gosh, there you go.
Been a blessing, and I know she would have loved that, because she's all about starting businesses and empowering women. And I feel like to empower women, put money in their pockets.
That's
Put
it.
money in their pocket. Like, talk to a woman who has money. She'll tell you, oh, where? What? You don't want me? She's able to make moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's able to like move. And then she wants to stay home and watch her kids, she can. If she wants to hire a nanny, she can. If she wants to go and get spa, you tell women to, you know, empower yourself, lift yourself. What if she doesn't have money in her bank account? How can she do that?
She can.
How is she supposed to do all of that with no resources, right? So I'm like, if I can tell you that or empower you in a form of put more money in your pocket, giving you the opportunity to start a business, or enlightening you in a place of maybe building your self-confidence, those are the tools that I feel like will liberate women and put them in better positions to be able to make decisions whether they want to stay in a battered marriage, in an abusive marriage, or if they want to walk away from abusive relationships, period, or be at home with their kids.
Yes.
You know, so that's what I'm doing now, and it feels so good. So that's how I'm coping. I'm teaching.
It's awesome. Love that you channeled your pain, and it's ending up being for the better good of humanity and you. So that is beautiful. I love that, and you are absolutely right about, you know, anything that will put money in a woman's pocket, it empowers her. You know, even if she stays in a marriage, if she works it out, two are still always better than one. You'll be surprised at they can become power couples. Yes. That come up with some amazing ideas that will just propel their lives. But if you're not on the same page, you're not thinking about, you know, so that's why I feel that what I do is important as well, because if you get on the same page, I promise you the ideas will come flowing. And before you know it, you are a power couple to behold. And wealth is just flowing back and forth and back and forth. And it's one of the reasons why I have a 2-day event where, I just kind of love on the wives, you know, just pour into them and just help them see a few things about where they are in their life. And you know, so if you haven't signed up yet, click on the link. It's October 28th and 29th. 2 days virtual.
October 28th.
September 28th and 29th. Yes, virtual, but online. And, you know, just let's come together and really love each other and let's talk about these things, like real talk, not just, just blow things over. So that is beautiful. One last quick question. This was so amazing. Thank you so much. Yes, I think we will have you come on again, but to you, well, actually 2 questions real quick. So how do you balance motherhood, wife, and business? How are you able to do that and still maintain your center of gravity?
I stopped trying. I stopped trying to balance. I don't even, that used to be part of my vocabulary, but it's no longer. Now I have pockets of things that I have to do every day, you know? So for me, I exercise 4 days a week. I'm a black belt. I do martial arts. I've been doing it for 4 years. So I'm a 2nd degree black belt. So I've been doing it for, I've done my black belt testing twice. I'm a homeschool mom. So I that forces me to spend that designated time with my kids to pour into them, nurture them, teach them, love on them. And then I am a business owner of two different, like I have food business and hair business. So I am forced to be, to multitask. And then I am all about lifting myself up. How? I write down a gratitude list every day. I have to remind myself of what I have that has nothing to do with money, just has to do with what I have. Like I can wake up and say, oh my gosh, I just woke up. Like I'm breathing, I'm alive. So that always puts me in a very good mood. So when I started doing that more, I stopped worrying about, oh, maybe I'm not going to be able to take the kids to, I don't know, Andretti's or Dave & Buster's this weekend. But guess what? We're going to go to the farmer's market next week. So I think as women, we fall into this race of, oh, it's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. And then you end up not doing at all. But you're spending more time worried about what you're not doing than actually doing. Right? So I find myself in doing the things like, if you feel like you miss your children, then take them to the park. If you feel like you haven't put in too much work at work, stay a little extra, work a little extra. So when your body is going to tell you when you're lacking somewhere. When you feel it, do something about it. because I can't. Because, you know, like if you feel like, oh man, I miss my husband. We haven't done date night in a while. Then go to date night. Just schedule the date night. That's your body and your spirit telling you, okay, it's time. Oh, you've neglected this area. Oh, okay, come back. Or, you know. So if you feel it, do it. Like I hadn't seen my husband. My husband's working out of town right now. I hadn't seen him in like a month. And that's like unheard of for us because we're always together. And immediately I was like, babe, I'm booking the flight too. I have to come see you. It's time. So when you feel it, do something about it.
That's a t-shirt.
Yes. Feel it, do something about it. Don't beat yourself up because people don't want to do anything about it. And that's why they beat themselves up, which is it just puts everything out of whack. Sometimes I'm like, my husband's like, Jane, you know, we've kind of worked the last couple of weekends. I'm like, okay, so let's make this weekend the best weekend ever. Let's go out. Let's do a staycation, book a hotel for a night. Let's go to the favorite restaurant. So you make up for it. And then the kids are like, oh my God, we're back. You know, so it's a constant like making it work. I haven't met anyone that has a balanced life, or I just know that when I feel like I'm lacking somewhere, which happens because I'm human, I fix it. I don't let it linger. I fix it.
I love that what you just said, and I'm gonna let you go. But there's a lady a lady I was talking to, and she said something to the effect that, yeah, when she walks in and she only has 20, she's like, babe, I only have 20 today. And he's like, I got you. I got the 80, you know, and then he'll walk in and say, babe, I only got 50 today. Okay. You know, and it made sense for them, right? That they had a way to recognize, okay, we're out of balance now. So we need to figure out a way. So I love that. Last question. What does it mean to you to be a wife that thrives?
A wife that thrives. I think one that understands her role in the house. Like as women, as wives, we have such a powerful job. Like when I tell you my job as a wife, my role is not even a job, is an opportunity that I'm so grateful to God to have. My role as a wife pulled me out of a state of depression where when my mom passed, I wanted to just fall, like my whole life changed. But because I loved my role so much, I valued my role so much, I was like, I got to get up. I got to empower my husband. I got to empower my kids. I got to teach my kids. I got to make my favorite dinner because they love it. I got to get up and, you know, so those roles that I enjoy doing already would not allow me to stay sad or depressed, or it pulled me out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll have my moments of sadness, but I'm able to bounce right back because I understand my role and I love my role. So a wife that thrives, for me, what it means to me is really loving your role. Don't see work as, oh, I gotta cook dinner. No, I get to cook dinner. I get to be wifey. I get to love on that man. I get to beef him. I get to tell him how much of a king he is. I get to tell my kids, oh my God, you guys are killing it. Like I take every role that I have the opportunity to be in. I get to do that. So to me, that is one that thrives, a wife that thrives.
I love it. You get to do it. You don't have to. Just recognizing that. Oh, this has been rich, Jane. Thank you so much. Where can we find you? Where can if anyone wanted to kind of follow you and see what you're up to, where can we find you?
TheVirginHairFantasy.com. And I purposely didn't wear a unit today because I'm like, I want people to know that when I do sell wigs, but I now know that I sell so much more because I have a bunch of clients that have their heads shaved because of all the years they've been following me, and they've told me, they're like, Jane, oh my God, you motivated me to shave my head. And I want women to see themselves beautiful with or without. Yes, you can wear the wig and you can wear makeup and you can do the lashes and I do all of that and I love it. But I also want you to stand tall in your pure natural beauty whenever you want to and still feel just as beautiful. I love all the things, but when I don't have all the things, I am still all the things. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. Say it. Preach it. Come on, Jane. Yes. All of this, it's who you are within. That's it. Oh, my gosh. Jane, Thank you so much. This
Nikki,
was
this
amazing. I had a blast. Queens, you heard it from the queen of wigs herself. If there's any, look, if you're feeling it, do it. If it comes to you, do it. Don't wait for anyone else to do. Just listen to this again and go get up. She dropped nuggets, premium nuggets. So please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, share this with your sisters. Until the next time when we will be back together again with another amazing episode, you know what to do. Stay blessed, remain blessed, and keep on keeping on. And I will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone.